Oh, look, I suppose it's always that question. As you said, you're right when asking the question. It can happen, I suppose, but there's still a bit going on in this footy season. So I suppose for us, we need to get back up as quick as we possibly can. And so far, from what I've seen for the boys through the week, there's no problems there. They've moved on really quickly, and that's what we have to do.
Jensen Trengo said trying to earn respect back, but probably didn't get Geelong's last time. Is there a bit of payback for them after what they did last time?
Oh no, they're a super side, and they have been for a long period of time, and they helped us probably improve, we think, and hopefully we can go down there this week and and test out some of the stuff that we worked on, and we know there's it's a significant venue for them to play at and for us to take on the challenge, and it's one we look forward to.
Talk about significant. I think it's 2 losses out of 48.
That's significant, isn't it?
Is that daunting at all? Does it come into the factors of planning?
No, not really, because I was there when that started. That run sort of basically started out, and it started from a side that wasn't actually doing that all the time, and at some stage, hopefully that's going to swing again, and if we can go down there and be one of the sides that are able to, and our history says we were one of the two that went down there and beat them. Hopefully we can go down there again this week and really challenge them and hopefully come away with a win.
What are the lessons you took from the loss earlier in the year?
The lessons?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you just need to play a full game of football against the Cats. We're early on in that game, I think they'd kicked 3 goals, one, and we'd kicked 4 behinds. And then in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the first quarter, they went really quickly and scored 3 quick goals, and it became a 7-goal first quarter. And then we were right behind the 8 ball, and we just can't afford to drop off for 2 or 3 minutes against Geelong. We know that. We see, and I know them really well. They're an explosive team. If you give them 4 or 5 minutes with the football, they're gonna really hurt you.
Yeah, with the Essendon thing coming to a head, do you sit down with Angus Winifred as well?
No, not at all. It's something that I'm not totally over, and Gus has been able to deal with that all the way through, and it hasn't affected him in the way he's gone about it. I suppose he's like the rest of us. He's just waiting to see what the outcome of the report's going to be, and then what will happen from there, we'll have to deal with from there.
There's a report today that he's already been cleared.
Look, I don't know that. I'm not certainly aware that he has or he hasn't been cleared. I think we expect, as everyone expects, I think that the players are the ones that we're first and foremost worried about, and we want to make sure that they're okay. And for Gus to be at a different club, it's even a little bit more difficult for him to deal with, I suppose, because he's not quite as sure what's going on. But we're hopeful that everything will work out okay.
You're confident he'll be able to play?
Yeah, we are. I mean, when I say confident, I'm only reading what I'm reading and seeing what I'm seeing and thinking, well, I would assume that he'll be okay, but until you see the report or see what actually is in there, I'm guessing like you are.
Has it been on his mind, though? I mean, have you had to talk to him?
No, not at all. Look, he's fantastic. He's handled that really well. He's dealt with that. He's a mature player, which I think helps. He's played 150 plus games of football. He's been in the system a long time. He just goes about doing what he's got to control, and that's his week-to-week form this year, and he's done that really well.
Ken, what about your first trip back to Kidney Park now coaching Power? And the last time Port won down there was Don Cassisi's goal in 07. You're an assistant wearing blue and white. Funny how the wheel turns.
Yeah.
Do you remember that day?
Yeah, I do. So I remember Gary kicking the goal just before that, which was a pretty special goal that he was able to kick, and I think Don was playing opposed to him at the same time. So, and then Don went back up the other end and returned the favour. So it's significant for us to go down there and play, but it's a great challenge, like the whole year's been for us. We look forward to it.
Will you walk in there and feel like an outsider?
I'll walk in there with my team, the Port Adelaide Football Club, and feel like I'm one of them.
Are there any tricks to the ground, or is the redevelopment?
No, the ground. There is some stuff in the ground. I reckon that catches sides out at times. I think, and having been there and spent a long period of my time there, is that we used to talk about that when we'd plan for games, and it was the ground is a little bit different for sides, and we're aware of that. I suppose we've got great knowledge of that ground with myself and Buddha and that have been there for a lot. So doesn't mean we're going to be able to make the most of that, but because that's the quality of the opposition we play. But we're certainly aware of the pitfalls of the ground.
What sort of stuff would you used to play for?
It's a much skinnier ground. Much skinnier ground. You only got to look at the logos when you watch it on television. You can see how close they are to the boundary line, and it's certainly Geelong become number 1 through the corridor. But I think that's mainly because of the ground, and they're forced to go through the corridor.
There's certain ways to go there as well. The kick-ins you should go to one direction and not the other.
No, not so much. No, not so much. Look, it's like here. The breeze sometimes can do some different things. But I haven't been there since the new stand's been completed, so I don't know whether that's going to make any difference. I think the important part will be the contest. The ground will have be a small factor. It's really going to be the contest inside.
Keith Thomas has revisited in the last 24 hours or so the fact that you might redraft the reserves thing to go back in the SANFL. What's your preference? Would you like to be in there?
Look, my preference, and it has always been, is to have all the Port Adelaide players playing for Port Adelaide and being a part of the Sanford with our history. That's my preference. Probably spoken about it enough, I reckon, and let it run its course.
Ken, I know you've been consistent on this all year about the finals and that sort of thing. As you're getting closer and closer with 11 wins, is it hard not to lift the eyes up a little bit?
No, it's pretty easy, so to be honest, because we go to Geelong, and you've just got to play well, and we've said it all year, we're going to get what we deserve, and we've just got to keep going, and at the end of the year, at the end of the 22 rounds that we play, 23, you're actually going to get where you should be, and hopefully for us, that's as high as we can possibly be.
Just with Angus Humphries too, all the concerns and that he's probably got going through his head at times, it hasn't stopped him being able to work the ball nicely and bounce near the goals, is it?
No, he's done some work with his trick kicks, and as I said after the game last week, I'm sure the Aussies would have loved to be able to move the ball that much. But the bounce of the ball sometimes it can be pretty favourable. But we also see at the start of that game Robbie's bounce when it went the other way, and we didn't talk about that as much how badly that was on the goal line and bounced back out. So that happens. That's footy.
What do you think selection was without Paul Stewart?
Sorry.
What are you thinking with your selection out of Edward Stewart?
Well, look, we'll probably only make the one change. In fact, we will only make the one change, and we'll give an opportunity to Bleasy, who's been right around the mark, for a long period of time, 5 or 6 weeks, and it would be great for us to see him have a game of football. And we're in a really good position because there's 6 or 7 players that we were sat down in selection and we could have quite easily put into the side and felt like we were going to be okay. We're disappointed for Stewie, but we know now that with that injury, there's a glimmer of light for him. So we hang on to that, but we get an opportunity to see another young player get out there and have a game of football that I certainly haven't seen play AFL football. So I'm looking forward to that.
How do you want to use him? Because it seems like Port has one idea with him and North Adelaide have another. Where do you think he fits in an AFL lineup?
Yeah, I think that's, in a way, I think that's part of the good part about him. Is he's quite flexible because he's got good speed for a 192 player. He can kick the ball well, but certainly we're playing Geelong with their key forwards. He's going to be handy for us to chop out down there with some of their tools, and also we know he's, as you said, with North, he's been able to go up and play on the wing and run through the middle of the ground and give us he'll give us some good use going forward.
So probably you want him as a defender then?
Yeah, I think he'll come into the side mainly as a defender, but he'll certainly spend time through the middle of the ground, and I wouldn't rule out that he'll spend some time in the forward line.
What have you made of Geelong's couple of losses in the last 3 weeks?
No, it's just a competition. It's how close it is. That's what it's like. If you're a little bit off, and and we seen them last week. We went over and watched them live, and if you can be down a little and you play like North Melbourne, been a quality side all year, their results are probably not what they should be. But you've just got to be in every game and every contest, and you've got to be prepared to play till the end. And if you do that, you've got a chance in every game you're playing.
Robbie Gray said last night, hopefully your knowledge and Buddha's knowledge of Geelong will be significant. Has it been too long since you've been there, or does that count?
Yeah, no, it's been a while now. I'm in my 4th year away from the Cats, so as much as I know some of the more senior players, there's a lot of those other ones who have retired, and there's some young blokes that have come into the system for them that I haven't even, like Christensen, I haven't even seen. In my time, I wasn't there when he was there. Motlop was the last ones, so I certainly have a little idea of Stevie, but it was his first year. But I certainly know Cal and Stevie and Jimmy and Sells and all those boys really well, Boris. So I have a good understanding of them, but that's a long time ago. They're playing different footy, they're playing different style than what they were back then even.
Ken, you got 10 of your 17 goals from small forwards last week. How much do they challenge the Geelong defence and the way they go back their defence?
Hopefully a lot. Hopefully they've been really good for us all year, with those blokes. Got Gray, Monfries and Wingard, of course, who have been playing there. And, Schultzy's been playing a slightly different role for us, and, and Johnny Butcher. So, and then we've got that great flexibility. We can put Boak there, we can put Hartlett there, and, they create another bit of a different look for them. So hopefully that'll cause them some concern. But, we know that group, that back group at Geelong have been really solid. They tend to play an area, they tend to play, on their terms a fair bit. So we've got to try and disrupt that a bit.
Ken, just on the small forwards, Jake Needs had a couple of rests during the year. Is he now, obviously back there, needs to work his way back in? Is he had enough rest now from AFL football that he's ready to come back in if form warrants, or does he need to be there longer?
No, he's ready. Trained really well yesterday. I was really excited to have Jakey yesterday training, and the boys who are in the side at the moment, they own the spot. So Jake will be ready to go, I reckon, at any stage now that we need to put him in. We haven't talked about him again this week, so we think he's as a young player, he's bounced back pretty good again.
There's always a concern about first-year players. Do you think you can carry Wines for the whole year? Or does at some point you have to...
I think the good part about it is we're not carrying him for us.
No, I don't mean carry in the sense of carrying him in the lineup, but
Yeah, no, I think he'll get through the full season. I think the way he's handled, the way we've handled him, we've looked for opportunities to give him spells away from the club. And we give him a couple of days here and there where we let him go back home, and I think that's as important as not giving him a game of footy. I reckon it's just giving him a mental freshen up. And we've done that really well with Ollie. I think through this year, I think he'd probably acknowledge that. And in fact, we're going to give him a couple of days next week where we can freshen him up. So we're mindful of that. We don't want to work him into the ground, but you watch him play and you watch him run around, it doesn't look like it's too big a factor for him at the moment.
Is it because he just seems to have a stronger body than most?
Yeah, certainly, no doubt it helps him. It's it's a really physical game, and he's built for that part of the game really well. So he's certainly been able to get through that. But you've seen Mira go through the year, and so there's always a case by case that you have to make decisions on.
You mentioned the touch-up Geelong gave you guys a bit earlier on in the season. Do you think you learn more out of a loss like that, or a really narrow win like last week?
And I think you certainly get. I mean, you get a bit out of every game you play. There's no doubt. The Geelong game and Hawthorn game, I think I've said after those games, they're the best sides in the competition. They've showed us a fair bit about some of the stuff that we need to work on, and we want to get to their levels. We know we're not there yet, but we just need to acknowledge that they have shown us stuff that we need to do better, and we go about working on trying to get to there.
What do you do about the Geelong ruck factor? Is there an advantage you can take there?
Well, it's a hard one. I mean, they had 3 rucks in the side last week. So whether they go with 3 again, Pod's hardly coming back into the side. I won't know that until they pick their side. And in fact, with Geelong, you don't know that until they run out on the ground, because they are the best at pulling the late change in the competition. So you wait for the team sheets to come in and you see what you've got. So it doesn't really mean too much for us. But I'm sure they'll have 2 rucks in their side. They have had all year. So I'd imagine that would give them. We're going to go in with Lobie on his own, and that's just what we've been dealing with.